Just put the fries in the bag, bro. As a wagey cuck in Silicon Valley, this is a fate only few dare to tempt, but those who do become heroes. That's right, folks, the people of Silicon Valley are losing and quitting their jobs to rounds of applause before crashing out on the timeline harder than an Iranian ballistic missile in an empty field. We're exploring, we're soul-searching, we're building in stealth, we're raising, or we're applying to YC, when the reality is that we're just sleeping odd hours, watching Instagram reels, and reading esoteric papers on the state of shrimp welfare. Some are not even trying, and some are working more than ever. Some are relishing their time by tapping into retirement savings as AGI is on the horizon, and some are grinding leak code and taking more founding engineer interviews than ever. Some are doing arts and crafts, and others are doing more ketamine than ever. Such is the life of the unemployed in San Francisco. We will cover all of this and how we got here, unemployment as a status symbol, whether someone is a founder or just unemployed, the great online unemployment crash outs, and I'll be interviewing Andi Duro, founder of Twocent, about what it's like to be unemployed on an app where your username is your net worth. This is the kind of analysis that you'll get from us, the members of technical staff. So Kylie, I have one question for you, and that is, how's unemployment been so far?
It's been fabulous. Oh my God. I mean, it's a beautiful day in San Francisco, and it's been beautiful. Lots of park hangs, lots of doing absolutely fucking nothing with my life. It's been rad. How's it been podcasting?
I mean, basically the same,
Yeah.
right? Basically the same. We're kind of, we've hit the sleeper schedule, right?
Yeah.
So we've hit the sort of, the bedtime is just coming back, right?
Yeah.
It is moving back by 15 minutes, half an hour every single night. I think now I'm on about, we've got this nice sort of like 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. schedule.
Nice.
And, just sort of like dead to the world for that first hour of the morning, check up on the Instagram reels,
Yes.
like all of these sorts of things.
You lift though, don't you need a lot of sleep? Like, isn't that really important?
Yeah. I think now it's kind of like, if I can just set my alarm for just 8 hours,
Yeah.
right? Just whenever I go to sleep,
Yeah.
plus 8 hours,
Yeah.
we're kind of good.
Nice, okay.
But we're just getting into like Bugman schedule,
Yeah.
right? So
Bugman schedule's so important. So important.
yeah, I'm curious. What did people first say, right? Because for those who don't know, Kylie's actually unemployed. So we're talking about unemployment in San Francisco, unemployment as a status symbol.
Right.
So how many people congratulated you when they found out that you were unemployed?
So many, actually. And it's the reason I think about this is because I was at this conference called The Curve, and so someone said there.
Explain that one to an alien.
Oh God. But someone there was like, San Francisco is the only place where they congratulate you when you say you're unemployed, and it's true. I'd say a lot of like, it gets to like the media portion where people are like, what really happened? And I'm like, baby, like exactly what I wrote about. But mostly people who are researchers or techies are like, congrats. They ask no further questions. They're like, that's awesome, congrats.
Yeah.
Cool, awesome.
Yeah, congrats on taking the leap. It's like, no, I got fired, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this happened. That was crazy. But I mean, at least I'm not in New York, like suffering that lonely winter and unemployed and everyone thinks you're just a chud. I mean, that's true here, but at least the weather's nice and people are congratulatory.
Totally. I mean, here when you're unemployed, right? You're soul searching, right?
Yeah.
You're exploring the next idea, right? If anything, people could assume that you've simply had an exit, right? Like depending on your age, it's like, oh, like okay, you're late 20s, early 30s, and you're unemployed. Like, congrats on the exit,
right?
Or congrats on making the leap to exploring the next thing.
Yes.
Now, of course, if you're a little bit younger than that, it's like, okay, maybe you're building in stealth.
Yes.
Right. It's like, okay, well, my resume is so good that companies have simply been looking at it for 7 to 8 months. I'm just going to go ahead and build in stealth instead. I'm not going to learn the lead codes, right? It's going to be easier for me to just try and maybe raise VC.
I also think that they think that they're above the leak codes. Like they're like, why would I do that? Why would I be a wagey when I could, build my own thing? And if anyone wants to give me millions of dollars to build in stealth, that sounds fabulous. Totally.
And now I must say, from personal experience, it is way easier to grind leak code than it is to raise money. I can promise you that. Just you can remember how to reverse a linked list. It's so much easier than chasing up friends, non-friends for introductions, being left on red by countless VCs. Of course, you only see the success stories online, right? You really only do. You see the success stories of those that have just timed it perfectly
Yeah.
and have, got their round done in like 24 hours.
Yeah.
You have not seen the absolute slogs of people just going through, 3 months, like hundreds of VC interviews.
Yeah.
Again, I'm projecting a little bit here. It's tough. It's a tough thing. Like learning leak code is just so much easier. So.
Do you think it's easier if you say you dropped out of Stanford? And I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to make a joke. Like, I feel like it might be easier if you do that.
Yeah, I think it's like I've spoken to people about this, right? Even friends that were in Silicon Valley in like the 2010s.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, I think it's easier if you come from that mold.
Yeah.
Yes. It's always been the case. I mean, it's like the same with like any white collar industry, right? It's like the finance bros have their target schools.
Yeah.
Like very, very well known. Technology, we just try to be a little bit more virtue signaling about it, where it's like, it's much more of a meritocracy, right? It's like as long as you have a good idea, right, you can drop out of wherever. You can drop out of fucking preschool at this point. I don't know who's making the Teal Fellowship for preschoolers. It's gonna come.
It's coming.
Little strange, but it's gonna come. But we sort of pretend that it's like this big meritocracy when reality is technology has their target schools as well.
Yeah.
So just say you dropped out of Stanford and maybe
Who's
you get
checking?
exactly. But the different titles when it comes to unemployment. Of course, I'm running a podcast, so who's the real joker here now? I mean, am I employed or am I unemployed? I may as well just be building in stealth. I mean, I've released a product, but it's a little bit similar to that. I mean, I think the idea that being a founder now is also just like a viable career path probably wasn't the case like 10 years ago.
You think so? 10 years ago?
Maybe, I would say so. I'm
thinking of Chesky. I'm thinking of the Chesky era and the I'm CEO bitch, like, I don't know.
Well, Chesky, another Airbnb, another great YC company, right? If I'm gonna poke a little bit of fun at YC, I'm certainly gonna acknowledge them for their successes. Gary Tan, looking forward to the sauna episode. And so, but yeah, I think like, I know it also went through my head, right? I mean, even raising for my last startup, in my head, I was thinking, well, do I want to grind 3 months of leak code?
Yeah.
Or do I want to just try and like raise a bunch of money, use up a bunch of my social capital, try and use a bit of my charisma, and like pay myself 120K a year?
Yeah.
And that's an equation that so many people are doing out of school now. And so it's just this interesting thing that we have been observing. Yeah. So this brings me to being unemployed in some place like SF versus being unemployed in some place like New York.
Yeah.
What would it look like if you're unemployed and you put that on a dating app in New York City?
Interesting.
It's
so funny because I was just getting dinner last night with my girlfriends and my mom, and we were talking about dating someone who's unemployed. And I actually have no qualms about it. I think like my big thing is if you give a fuck about something, like that's what's most important. So if you're unemployed and don't give a fuck about anything, like that's not cute. But
totally.
If you give a fuck about, being a musician or I don't know, doing a podcast, like, as long as you give a fuck about something. So in New York, I think generally it's not going to go well. Like I can't remember who I talked to, but they said that they were also unemployed, but they're from New York. And I swear this might have been at the Curve, but it's all a blur now. And they were saying like people think that you've died. Like you might, like, how are you going to live here in New York? Like that's like, you're insane. So no, on a dating app, I don't think it's going to go well. In San Francisco, I still am not sure. There's a lot of like, very ambitious, like women who are also raising.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, it's like, again, I think it kind of comes back to like, they're soul searching, right? In SF, they're soul searching. In New York, they are like, they're cucks to the system. They're in the permanent underclass now. Like it's over for them now. Yeah. And so moving on, I wanted to touch on being unemployed in the age of AGI. Now, AGI hasn't happened yet. Few people were talking about this in maybe like 22, 23, saying like, okay, well, 6 months until everybody's unemployed, or 6 months until white collar work is over.
Yeah.
And we started to see the discourse around essentially taking out of retirement savings, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's better off that you're unemployed and you're better off to just make the most of capital now when capital doesn't matter in, say, I don't know, 2 years from now. And so this brings me to ALR. And she says, right, this is back in May 14, 2024.
Yeah.
So not too long ago here now. She says, for the record, I'm currently at 70% that we're all dead in 10 to 15 years from AI. I've stopped saving for retirement and have increased my spending and the amount of long-term health risks I'm taking.
We call that Lighthaven syndrome.
Lighthaven syndrome. Do you want to explain what
No,
Lighthaven
I literally
is?
just made that. Oh my God, Lighthaven. I've been trying to explain Lighthaven for better part of a year now.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing in which, if you were to tell that to a family of the Victorian era, they would explode.
Yes.
Right?
Well, just telling someone in New York. I mean, really.
Same thing.
It's a beautiful compound in Berkeley that tends to hold meetups of people who share the same interests and philosophies, which tend to veer on AI safety and we're all going to die in 10 to 15 years, or it's, permanent underclass, blah, blah, blah. They tend to work in AI or some like safety startup. I have a touch of Lighthaven syndrome because, I don't know, going back to they give a fuck. Like they really do. I wrote that in my last blog and talking about like, what do you call yourself when you're unemployed? When I'm really forced, I say independent writer. I just, what else am I going to say? Like I blog, I'm a blogger, I'm on the internet.
Yep.
But yeah, I think they really give a fuck. They really care that we're all going to die. I'm not sure I agree. I still save for my retirement, not now currently, but I did just roll over my 401k accounts, and I wouldn't do that if I thought we were all going to die. And I don't know, maybe it's too traditional of me, like being monogamous, maybe it's too traditional to think that I still need to save. But I'm like, I can't imagine taking out of my 401k. Like that sounds horrifying. Totally.
I mean, in that same boat, I've had conversations with, I wouldn't say that they're Lighthaven adjacent, but particular AI researchers that might be, they might be a little more EAC, if we want to call it that, a little more accelerationist. Yeah. Hey, founder here. Can't say that about me. But basically, the conversations I've had with them, some of them are like, there's probably logic behind putting off actually starting a startup, right? Yeah. Starting a software startup until the capabilities are there in which, right, you barely actually have to spend any time actually writing the code, right? Engineering capabilities are going to be so much so that you're better off spending the time on something else now and waiting for those capabilities to come online. Now, I don't exactly agree with that because, we all know first mover advantage and, there's just so many more AI startups now, and to the point in which you can make little fucking podcasts with your friends because they're going to battle for media attention and try to get ad spots.
Right.
And so there's clearly enough people doing it, but that's a real conversation I had. It was like, okay, I'm considering actually putting off working on this startup until more engineering capabilities come online because for me, it's just a waste of time for me to be doing that now.
So I have two questions on that. Then what engineering capabilities don't we already have? Because it's already pretty magnificent, albeit flawed. And what's the other thing you work on instead?
I guess it goes back to just living your life. I don't know. You go to like vacation in Europe, right?
Ideal.
It's like you just you take out of your retirement savings, just like spend a bunch of money while you're younger, right. and then wait for those engineering capabilities, right? It's like, okay, you have agents that can do a lot of the work from 0 to 1 now. Maybe in another year or so, right? The enterprise capabilities come online and the accuracy just gets better in larger code bases. Yeah. All of these sorts of things. Now, I feel like there were people talking about this a couple of years ago, and they still would be waiting.
Yeah.
so yeah, not sure I would suggest this. And so before we move on here to the interview with Andi, I just want to get to some of the greatest unemployment crash outs we have ever seen. And so I want to go ahead and start with our friend TechBog. Now, the great thing is when you become unemployed, right, you can sort of masquerade as if it's this good, awful, terrible thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it actually is. Don't get me wrong. Definitely not going to try and denigrate someone being fired because the thing about being fired in San Francisco is kind of like what we've already mentioned. They've probably taken home quite a pay package. There might be a severance package. They might have had like an exit before. Yeah. A lot of the times people are pretty well off. So what TechBog has done is he has been fired.
Yeah.
And for those that know him, he is one of the more cracked engineers
Yeah.
on X.com, the everything app. So he made it into this massive thing. And so his first post, he's like, time to put the fries in the bag.
Hell yeah.
It's just a picture of offboarding complete.
So good.
And there was like a week long tirade of him unemployment posting. So much so that people were calling getting fired, getting tech bogged. And so my favorite of them all is this next one. He's like hashtag new profile picture. It's his normal profile picture. Somebody's
Generational run of tweets. I mean, I don't know how he did it. It was incredible.
Someone's put the McDonald's shirt on it. I just want to bring it to one more poster. So there's a few amongst us that
Indeed.
have been recently unemployed.
Yep.
Another one is legendary poster Skooks.
Skooks.
And so he's called Spooks, right?
Yes.
In the spirit of Halloween. And so Skookum, he says, so this is day 2 unemployed. Direct deposit is the great sedative, the slow euthanasia. It is the drip that turns live players into docile livestock, grazing fat on bi-weekly illusions, the pacifier that convinces visionaries to trade prophecy for sweet green reward points.
Incredible.
Poetry.
Incredible.
Poetry. Generational poster going on generational runs. As far as I know, he is currently doing a bunch of the arts and crafts.
Good. That's good. We all have to do arts and crafts when we're unemployed. I mean, podcasting is a version of arts and crafts.
Of course. I'm just like spinning up my little silly my little silly shows with my friends. It's actually great.
It's very important.
And so with this now, I want to get to unemployment expert. So I'm going to go ahead and cut to Andy from Twocent right now. Okay, so Andy's here with me right now, but I'm actually going to go ahead and subject him to an ad read. So, models as smart as God, but with better margins, go to Inference.net. Of course, they've just announced their seed round, 11.8 mil. Don't know why they didn't go for 12, but 11.8, still a pretty good number, and they've just announced their partnership with Cal. Of course, if you are a company, an enterprise doing anything over $50,000 a month with the leading model providers, such as OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google Gemini, go ahead and give Inference.net a try. They will cut your costs massively. Okay, cool. Now that we've subject him to that, I'm going to tell you about Twocent.money. In fact, I'm actually going to get Andi Duro, the founder of Twocent.money, to tell you a little bit about Twocent.money. But before I get him to actually tell you about Twocent.money, right, I'm just going to say it one more time, Twocent.money, we're going to talk a little bit about unemployment, right? So there's a lot of different ways that we can take this. But first, I want to ask you, Andy, you've had a little bit of an unemployment journey yourself. Of course, you're fresh off the boat to San Francisco, right? Now as a founder, right? The holy grail of status signaling, the founder of a startup. But you've had quite a journey over the last couple of years. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about that particular journey?
Yeah, sure. I think my journey starts on my 24th birthday, where I quit my first job out of college. That was in 2023. I had just moved to New York at the tail end of 2022. And I basically decided to take a leap of faith and bet on myself in the AI era. So we had been seeing a lot of the changes in ChatGPT Playground. GPT-3 came out, and then ChatGPT itself. I had been building sort of like random tooling. We built a group chat bot on Twitter that was doing really well. And it had been before anyone else had sort of seen this. And so I was looking at my existing consulting job and thinking about what I would want to build on my own, and decided to just take the leap and go for it. And so began a very weird and hectic 2-year journey that led to now, which is completely not related to AI. So I think it's kind of funny that it ended up that way. But I thought I was quitting to build an AI company, and then I ended up building a fintech company, which I think speaks to the serendipity of how these things work. When you're falling and going down the bridge or whatever, you don't know how you're going to pull yourself out of it, but you just kind of believe that you will. And I think one of the things that's not really highlighted here is that a lot of the time you get to spend not working on a specific thing is time you can spend observing the landscape and looking at what's happening around you. So it's very easy to develop tunnel vision, especially in tech, being all in on one specific thing, that you lose focus of what everything else is and everyone else is doing around you. And it means that you can lose out on really good opportunities. timing wise and also sector wise, like being able to jump around things. Um, for me, the journey to 2 cents starts with noticing all my friends that had more stable jobs than me, right? Because I was doing contract work and freelancing.
Yep.
And then meeting a lot more founders because I could just get on a plane at any time and go to San Francisco or go to any other city in the US because I didn't have a job. And so I made all these connections to all these different cities, all these different people in different industries and sectors, um, which in hindsight, I think counts as real work, but I don't think it felt like work at the
It's a
time.
part of 996. Yeah. Meeting with friends, meeting with the homies, a part of 996. I agree with this. I know a similar thing happened to me, right? And of course, we're both on X.com, the everything app, right? Andy is Nexus. I mean, that's how you would pronounce it, right? I know it's like a U before the I, so Nexus.
Yeah.
And so, same thing for me, right? It's like I've done the whole like B2B SaaS, AI powered B2B SaaS to media pivot, right? And that came through simply noticing things, right? It's kind of what you're saying, right? It's like, oh, okay, well, I've had this freedom, I've been consulting, or I've been unemployed, I've been just like hanging out with friends, but I've been able to notice enough to give me to conviction to go ahead and start this other thing, right? That other thing being 2cents.money.
Right. And I think realizing this means in hindsight that I was spending my time much more productively than I thought I was. And if you think about sales and conferences and developer relations and all these different things that we fit into a 996, that's just meeting the homies. Like at the end of the day, it's just going to different places, making other people aware that you exist, making those friendships. And then, months or years later, when you need that specific contact, you have it ready. They know who you are. They know that you're trustworthy. You can go into business with them. And so now that I'm starting this company, I was very blessed to have a very dense and information-rich network of people with which to hire from. Some of them came from X.com themselves. Some of them were people I had met along my journey from New York, also in Connecticut. So I skipped like months and months of hiring because I just had this network on tap that I could pick people from.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have had that network if I had spent the last 2 years employed,
Yeah.
That's why it's kind of funny how it works.
Totally. I'm curious, when you initially quit that job, how many people congratulated you, right? Were there many people that just came into your DMs, like when you were 24 in New York City, were there many people that just came into your DMs and were like, man, congratulations on taking the leap? Or was it more so like, oh shit, like what are you doing?
Yeah. I think I had a handful of people say congratulations. I think because consulting has a reputation. Although it's kind of ironic because I really liked my job in consulting. I quit because I liked it too much, not because it was bad, which I think is also contrarian. But I was thinking like I could do this for 10 more years and I wouldn't mind. And that scared me, like the idea of just doing the same job for 10 years. But people had assumed that I was having a bad time or that I didn't really like the company or the people I was working with, which was not true. But I did get congratulated on it anyways.
Yeah, totally. I think with that, I'm curious, like, how was and you can get as deep or as shallow into this as you like, but it's a bit of a bait question. How was dating as an unemployed person? Because the reason I bring it up is because it's very, very different being unemployed in a place, say, like San Francisco versus unemployed in a place, say, like New York City, or even in my experience, Sydney. Right? It's like if you tell anybody that you're unemployed in Sydney, right, you're outcast. Like you're fucking like you're in the permanent underclass. Like you got nothing going for you. And, I don't have as much of that experience with New York City. I can kind of like hear what people have told me, but I'm curious as to what your experience was like along these lines in New York. Because now, like you're above that now, right? You're the founder, right? You're venture backed, right? Like you've kicked all of that. Doesn't matter where you are now, right? You've kicked all of those little things. So I'm curious as to your experience with that in NYC.
I would say it was better than ever, which is really funny.
Holy shit. That is a narrative violation. Okay.
It is a narrative violation. I think that being a founder is played out in much lower status than it used to be. And I think if you open with you're a founder, then the question is like, what stage is the company? Are you post revenue? How much revenue? Right? It's the scene from HBO's Silicon Valley. It's you never tell them because it's never enough.
Yeah.
Right? But if you're unemployed, then it's like an idea play, right? It's like
it could be anything
about it could be any amount that you can imagine within the next 3 or 5 years. I also think availability is a big thing. I think especially in New York, like women are really graded by how unavailable men are. And if you're unemployed, you're available all the time. Like you can just do whatever you want, and you have no excuse to get out of things.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
I think
I love
that
that.
that works very much in your favor.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, it's like I can't help but do the classic, like Silicon Valley SF tech bro trope of attributing that to raising pre-product, right? Essentially, like you're unemployed, in the dating market. You're essentially like your potential is infinite, right? It's like
Mhm.
raising a pre-seed round with no product, right? You could be pre-idea, right? But your potential is infinite, right? There's plenty of stories of founders that are very deliberately, building product, but are not getting any revenue, right, in order to go ahead and raise that next round, because it could
Yeah.
still be anything. Unemployment, same sort of deal. You've heard it here first, folks. Total narrative violation, total unemployment victory. And so I just want to kind of wrap this back around to 2cents.money, because obviously, we can be observers. Like obviously myself as user, I can be an observer. Yourself as the founder can be a giga observer. But what are the dynamics between somebody, say, with a username of $100 versus somebody with the username of, say, 20 million? Like what has been the vibe like and the interactions between the two classes on 2cents?
One of the most exciting things we've seen is that the very high net worth individuals love to reply to people. And so it feels like a very special community where you can get someone who's a deca millionaire or has like $26 million or whatever to see what you're
Yeah.
posting and comment on it. And the topics themselves are incredibly generic. It's like there's no particular category. When I first started, I thought it would be particularly for financial advice.
Yeah.
It ended up being everything from tech to dating to housing markets to vacations. And it sort of leads to this insight that's actually every conversation is a financial conversation. Like everything you choose to talk about and the words you choose to express it with is informed by your background, what finances you've had in the past and what finances you're planning to have in the future. So that was an unintentional value add of the product that we only figured out after we launched it, is that you can talk about anything and have the same sort of arbitrary feed that you do on Twitter, but everything is much more credible because you have a number next to it.
Totally. No, makes sense. I know my I think it was like a screenshot that came out a few months ago where it was like one of the one of the low net worth username individuals like giving out financial advice on the financial advice app. It was like
Right.
guy
Right.
with like one grand to his name, like giving stock advice or something.
I think on the third day, we had a guy who was teaching me how to monetize the app with negative
Yeah.
160,000. And he's like,
That's
Andy, you should do this. And I
that's
was
the
like,
one that
okay,
I'm thinking of.
I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
That's
That was
so
really
good.
funny. It was great
Yeah.
to have the thesis validated like on day 3 of launch. I was like, this is exactly what I wanted to happen.
That's perfect. And it's a perfect place to wrap it up. Of course, especially if you are unemployed, get on 2cents.money, right? Your username is going to be very, very funny, right? And of course, if you're in San Francisco or New York, odds are you probably have some net worth to your name anyway. Hence why a lot of us get the whole congratulations when you've moved on from a particular job. But regardless of your net worth, go ahead and get on 2cents.money. Your username is your net worth. Andy, thank you so much for joining us here on Mott's.
I have one last thing to say, which I just remembered.
Yes.
When I did get funding, I do remember one of the girls I dated came back and said that she bought it early. So that was also the unemployment
Infinite
journey is
potential.
worth it. Yeah, exactly.
That's perfect. Yep. You can just do things. You can just raise pre-product, pre-idea, pre-team. It's the same in dating. Go ahead and give it a try. You've heard it here first on Members of Technical Staff. Andy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So it wouldn't be an episode of Members of Technical Staff without reacting to some of the greatest posts in the history of posts. And so we're just going to jump straight into this thing here with a post from our very own Kylie. So this is Kylie Bites. And she says, another unemployed morning, and then it is the it's the very famous picture of the cockroach in the bed, right? It's the sketch of the cockroach in the bed, but there is it looks like an iPhone 14.
Wow.
And you can actually see in this, you got the blue light that's coming off of the phone.
And that was
as well.
literally me when I tweeted it. I was in bed because I was like, this is me right now. It was the first thing I thought of when I woke up, and people liked that for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, quite a few. 13,000
So
13,000 likes, 407,000 views.
So stupid.
And so this is the new X algorithm. This is the new, Grok chose you that particular day.
It rewards stupidity.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things in which it rewards one-liners now, and for people like us, that's good actually. And so moving on here, I want to get to yet another post from our good friend Skooks. This is Spooks. This is Skookum. He says, many of you have already made the mistake of assuming that just because I'm unemployed, that means the mean time it takes me to text you back will go down. Guess what? It's going up. I'm doing arts and crafts.
Yes.
This is you, right?
I am so bad at you suffered through this a little bit. I've never been worse at texting back because I'm doing anything other than being on my phone except for at night when I'm scrolling TikTok, unfortunately. But no, I am doing arts and crafts. You can't see it, but I make collages. I color, and I play video games. But
have you started baking yet? Making sweet treats?
So my thing about baking is that I don't trust myself.
Yeah, that's
I
real.
will gain 200 pounds. I think it's a very valiant effort. I think it's very cool and very fun, but I just don't trust myself. I will eat everything and I won't give it away.
That's fair enough. That's
arts
really
and crafts is a nice, and the gym. That's about it.
Totally. Yeah, I think my only real sort of unemployed era was kind of like, I mean, it's not technically unemployment because I was in college at the time, but it was summer 2020, right? When everything was locked down, and I remember it was actually a period in which I was, for those that don't know, I actually did a year at a hedge fund, and the way that I actually got that gig is because I kind of workshopped quite a successful future strategy with a tower research guy. Now, explain that to an alien. None of those words are in the Bible, but basically, what happened in my junior year of college is that that strategy did really, really well on a personal account. Very, very and for a very short amount of time. Yeah. And so during COVID, I decided to ramp it up. I was like, fuck, I'm functionally unemployed. I lost all of my work at school. Yeah. And what happened was, so I was basically the guy that turned to day trading to fund their unemployment lifestyle.
Naturally.
And sure enough, I just lost so much money.
Many such cases.
It's you become a genius, right? Yep. I may as well have been selling courses. I may as well have been buying the courses, right? And so, we've all had these periods, day trading, maybe, day trading is just the dude's arts and crafts, perhaps. Although I wish that I had been doing arts and crafts instead. Maybe I would have kept my girlfriend at the time. So basically, moving on here, I want to move to Hero. So again, it's another friend of the show.
Love Hero.
And she says, so this is Hero 1000 Faces. She says, my whole job today was to send 2 emails and write some code, and I did none of those things. How do I turn unemployed layabout mode off?
Real. She just tweeted about trying to set up timers for her social media, and she's rotting too much. And I bought a brick.
Oh.
I know. It hasn't arrived yet. Someone was like, how is it? And I was like, it hasn't arrived. So
wait, what's the brick again?
It's a little device that my friend has it on his fridge, and you tap it and then you can't use your social medias. So I think that would be great for me waking up and watching Instagram reels first thing in the morning. It's not an ideal situation. So that's how unemployment is going and Hero's suffering.
Sure, yeah. Well, this is why you need to become a podcaster, because then it becomes your full-time job just to scroll.
Yes.
That is what I'm noticing now. It's my screen time's never been higher, but I can justify it because that is how I monetize, right? That is how of course. Thank you Inference.net, thank you Morph LLM. By the way, Morph LLM, sponsor of this segment. Use them for fast code replacement searches. Need to put that one in there. And so I'm simply delivering value to my stakeholders. That is how I justify my 16 hours of screen time. Right. It's not shareholders, it's stakeholders. It's very, very different. Those in SF might not know. And so moving on here, we're moving on to Porg, right? We got Feral Porg Hunter.
Nice. Explain that to an alien.
Yeah. On the theme of things that would destroy a family from the Victorian era, this guy's name. And so he says, every man should pick up a hobby while unemployed, and mine is going to be sports betting.
I love
right?
it.
It's like he read my mind, right?
Yes.
I was saying my hobby was losing a bunch of money day trading.
Yeah.
I may as well have been sports betting. In fact, I probably would have been way better off sports betting.
Do you
during
sports
that
bet?
time. No.
It's so interesting, like how every man, it feels like from 18 to 32 is sports betting. Like, I don't understand it whatsoever, but I do have friends, like sometimes every November there's some MMA match that we're watching during my friend's birthday, and she doesn't want to watch it, but there's someone there who's betting on it, and we're watching. It's funny because he's losing so much fucking money. It's like the best ever. It's, you're just watching them suffer, but it's crazy.
No, I mean, I think since my hedge fund days, I've just been so risk averse when it comes to anything that's like where I'm putting money, like even my investing. Like I much prefer to take the 4% yield on a savings account versus even like plowing money into the S&P.
Yeah.
I'm much more aggressive when it comes to career decisions. Hence why I'm a podcaster now. Very different thing. But yeah, so no, the sports betting thing, I mean, like this is all going through the roof. Poly market, obviously the Kalshi round last couple of weeks, 300 million, I think. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it is a thing. Unemployed, beware.
Yes.
Beware. And so to finish this up, right, we're just going to move on to a post from Yassine, right? Legendary poster. And he simply says, I fucking love being unemployed. And it is the picture of SpongeBob essentially going schizophrenia mode.
Yep.
Right? I mean, they're not going to call that in the cartoon, but, this is the timeline in which most people are in schizophrenia mode. And I guess that leads me to, do you fucking love being unemployed?
Fucking love being unemployed. That was my first blog when I was telling everybody that it had happened, is that thank fucking God I got fired. There's this incredible YouTube video. I know that this is Mott's and this is SF people listening, but Doechii, this rapper, she got fired from some service job, and she's like, I got fired today. It's like a minute-long video, and she's like, fuck it. Like, I'm just gonna go, what do I have to lose? I'm just gonna go all in. And then she ended up winning a Grammy. I love it. I mean, it's a different thing if you were like you were in a job that you loved and it was like very gratifying, but like grinding and being burnt out and being miserable and then getting fired, it's like, Jesus Christ, I can breathe again.
Totally.
So it's quite nice.
And so it's a good time to wrap this up here. You've been listening to another episode of Members of Technical Stuff. We'll see you again on the timeline real soon.